been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for the View host, Sonny Hostin, has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud.
We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest scum.
What do you get when Gutfeld and Bill Maher, the political world's equivalent of a barroom brawl in two suits, both take aim at Sonny Hostin in the same week? No coordination. No text messages. No strategic planning. Just two very different men on very different stages landing on the same devastating punchline. And this time, it wasn't even about politics. This wasn't a debate over policy. This was personal. The kind of personal that comes with a $450 million fraud case and Sonny Hostin's husband smack in the middle of it. Just your standard $500 million hoopsie-daisy. And suddenly, that righteous finger she's so fond of pointing has nowhere left to go.
That means it's time for...
Living your life and you're feeling low. You don't know what is true. You don't know what's true. So you quick flip through the channels to watch Sunny on The View. Oh my God, the stuff she says is dumb. Where the hell they get this woman from? She's a host who's always crass and lame, with lots of nonsense to proclaim. If you want a show where people know the hosts are stupider than you, then set your TV on and watch Sonny Hostin on The View.
Nicely done, G.
As The View sat stiff and silent in its studio, pretending the scandal hovering over the table didn't reek like a 3-week-old casserole, Gutfeld and Bill Maher independently lit it on fire. Gutfeld tossed irony like kindling on Fox. Maher poured a full tank of HBO-grade kerosene. No collaboration, no memo, just a mutual realization. If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, Sonny Hostin just won gold, landed a Nike deal, and started the book tour. And her co-hosts? Stuck in a group-wide mime routine, refusing to acknowledge the elephant breakdancing in the corner of the studio.
No such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Let's begin with Gutfeld, who treats every episode of his show like it's open mic night at the local Libertarian Comedy Lounge. He smirked his way through a segment that might as well have been sponsored by the phrase, "I told you so." Because when you've built your brand on roasting sanctimonious media elites, and one of them ends up married to a man allegedly neck-deep in $500 million of financial fraud, well, that's not just news. That's a content lottery win. Gutfeld didn't need props. Just a smirk and a camera.
It's about The View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest scum.
Gutfeld didn't need to name names or flash arrows. He simply traced the outline of a media morality tale gone spectacularly sideways. Picture it, a daytime host perched on a soapbox taller than the Empire State Building, sermonizing about ethics, only to trip and faceplant into a federal court docket. Gutfeld plated it like a high-end roast, charred in irony, basted in sarcasm, and served with that smug garnish Fox viewers eat up. But he wasn't just skewering Sonny Hostin, he was dissecting the very idea of her. The View's designated conscience now tangled in a scandal big enough to make Enron blush. And the punchline wasn't the fraud. It was the silence. The total studio blackout, as if the headlines were written in invisible ink. Gutfeld didn't just comment. He handed out highlighters and drew big, bright circles around the hypocrisy everyone else politely pretended not to see.
Old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill Maher, who has been the standard bearer for liberalism and in many ways leftism until the woke went bananas in this last decade, but for decades, that's what this guy has represented in America. I want you to note the tone they all talk with him. I want you to look at Sonny Hostin's body language and the way they look at him and everything else, just because he is a lefty who hasn't gone completely bananas.
Meanwhile, on the other end of the ideological spectrum, Bill Maher leaned back in his HBO fortress, sipping cynicism like scotch and lobbing intellectual grenades with surgical precision. Where Gutfeld cracked jokes, Maher delivered an indictment, a velvet-gloved sledgehammer to the sanctimony of his own ideological peers. He didn't just zoom in on the scandal. He zoomed out, reframing it as a symptom of elite immunity, media double standards, and performative morality. Here's a woman who spent years scolding America from a daytime pulpit, now watching as her own household steps into the kind of corruption scandal she normally builds entire monologues around. Maher didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't even need to joke. The hypocrisy practically wrote its own script. Maher just brought the matches.